The first month of the year has flown by, and we're going to talk about all the books that I read in January. The first book of the year that I read was Peter Straub's Ghost Story, which had that like wintry atmosphere. It is a slow burn horror book, and I thought it was quite fantastic. It follows this group of men, and they meet up and they tell these scary stories, and they have this kind of club called like the Chowder Society or the Chowder Club or whatever they're called. They have a kind of sordid past where something happened back in the day that seems to be coming back to haunt them. And they may have encountered an entity of sorts that wants its revenge and is slowly going to pick off this group of men unless they can stop it. It is a very eerie and a story that creeps along the edges, and it's super weird. It's so much weirder than I could have imagined. I really enjoyed it. Any of the books that I have standalone reviews for, I will link those down below if you want to get a little more information on them and such. All right, so after that, I read Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. I love Rachel Harrison. I feel like a lot of the horror I've read of hers is kind of like that cozy horror vibe, because it's never really supremely scary. It's intriguing and some of it's dark, but none of it's really like, I can't read it at night, or, where I'm like freaking out about noises in the house or anything. Like, I never get that vibe from her books, but it's always like a pleasure to read them. They're always like mildly scary. They're never like too disturbing to read. So Play Nice is about this house that is possibly possessed by a demon, although no one quite believes it. It follows the story of these three sisters, and they had grown up in this house. Their parents had got divorced, and the mom has this house, and the mom was also like a raging alcoholic and had anger issues and stuff. So demon or drunk mother. The girls were super young, so they don't really remember a whole lot from that time. And like the stuff that was claimed to happen, the mom said it was a demon, but was it really a demon? This, that, and the other. So when the mom passes away, the girls end up inheriting this house, and they didn't even know the mom still had this house. They thought the house was long gone and been sold, but it wasn't. So the youngest is like, well, you know what? The two older sisters want nothing to do with it. She's like, I'll take care of it. I'll renovate it. We'll flip it. We'll get rid of it. And then, we won't have to think about it anymore. And so she goes to do this and she stays there. And then what she finds out is that, maybe their mom wasn't crazy and lying. And that, yeah, maybe the house actually is possessed by a demon. It's a great story. It's a story about family. It's a story about a weird haunting / kind of like possession of this house. And how can a house be possessed by a demon? Well, you got to read it to find out. And it's great. If you like Rachel Harrison, you'll probably like this book. Some of my favorite Rachel Harrison books, and I will tell you cackle ad nauseum because I say that every time, but I also really liked her book Such Sharp Teeth. I thought that one was really good. There's a lot I have not read of hers, but those are my favorite, and this one has been added to my favorites of hers. Okay, so after that one, I read Happy Bad by Delaney Nolan. And this follows the story of all these enraged teenage girls who are in this place. It's kind of like a home for them. I don't know like how you get sent there, whether it's through the system or parents are just like, I can't handle my kid because they're into drugs or they're crazy or this, that, and the other. So there's all these teenage girls there. I believe they're from like age 13 to like 17. And so they're put on this trial drug called B-Zen, and it really seems to calm a lot of them down that were having like these rage issues and, fighting all the time and being awful and whatnot. It seems to be helping, except for maybe not as much as they thought. What happens is I think it takes place in Texas, if I'm remembering right. And it's also almost dystopian because everything that's happened in the world up until this time, I don't know what the time frame is supposed to be, but like so much stuff has been destroyed. The planet is pretty awful at this point in time. Government's jacked. It seems like parts of the coastline have been lost and are gone, and just the crisis of overheating and this, that, and the other. And so there's these rolling blackouts all the time. This place, I don't know what to call it. Like, it's like a clinic, but it's also a place where they live. The power goes out, and it turns out this is not going to be just like 1 or 2 days. Like, this is, no one knows if it'll ever come back on. So they have to like leave and go to another place. And so you have all these girls, they're going to move them down to Georgia or over to Georgia from I think, like I said, Texas. It's the story of like what happens on the way, the dangers of the journey. The power outages are everywhere, like how people are reacting to this, waiting in line for gas for hours and hours. And then the girls too, like they start to run out of the medication that they're on. So the girls start having withdrawals from this, and like what's going to happen? Are they going to get to their destination? How will this all turn out? It was quite the interesting, emotional, and strange and messed up read, and I quite enjoyed it. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like dystopian fiction, I guess, just with how like the surrounding world was in this and all of that. But just also it was very human with how people interacted with each other and the relationships they had, and the girls' relationships to each other, and then with the people who oversaw them and all of that stuff. So it was a pretty good read. So after that one, I read The October Film Haunt by Michael Wehunt. And this one, oh man, what a crazy book. There was this group of 3 people, and they were called the October Film Haunt. And what they did was they would go and they would camp out at the locations of their favorite scary movies, and then they would write a blog post about it, you know, social media stuff and whatnot. And they were starting to like hit their stride and starting to rise in the horror community and to get recognition and all of that. The place that they go and they camp out at is this location for this film that was called Proof of Demons. And so after they go, the one girl, Jory, who's the main character, she writes this blog post, but she kind of like embellishes stuff for reasons unknown. And she hadn't really ever done that before, but for this one, she did. And this has the bad effect to actually influence some of the other people that would come to these locations because of what they were doing. And this one girl and her friends end up going there. And the one girl, her name was Hannah, ends up dying. And she died because of what she was influenced by what they wrote. And she also ended up wearing a October Film Haunt t-shirt, which did not help things. After that happened and that girl died, the October Film Haunt basically disbanded, and that all went south. Dreams crushed, animosity within the group and all of that. And like the whole premise of that, I was like, wow, what a awesome sounding premise. It's really great book. I really loved it. It's weird, it's eerie, it's creepy. So 10 years later, Jory gets this VHS tape in the mail, and we all know, don't do it, don't watch it. But of course she does, because, you know, it's that there'd be no story if she didn't watch it, right? I mean, I guess there could still be a story even if she didn't watch it, but probably wouldn't be as good. So then it seems like someone wants to make Jory their final girl, and the tape she gets has to do with that film, Proof of Demons, and we don't know if it's from the director or from some crazed fans of the director and all this stuff. One of the things about the book too is the ending's a little bit open-ended, so if you're not someone who likes an open-ended story and you prefer it kind of like neatly wrapped up in a bow, the ending is not neatly wrapped up with a bow. So I understand how some people may not like that, but for me, I loved it. I thought it was great. Okay, so after that one, I read an author I had been meaning to read for a while. I just didn't know where in the heck to start because he's got a ton of books. And that author is Frederick Backman. And I don't even know how I got in the conversation. And I think it happened over on TikTok. And I said something. I probably asked like what people were currently reading, and someone said something about Frederick Backman. And I was like, where do I start with that guy's books? And so the book I read was My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. And what a freaking gem of a book. It's funny, it's sad, it's emotional, it's sweet, it's bittersweet, it's heartbreaking, it's so many things. And the way that it's written is just, it's quirky, it's eccentric, and it was so good. So there's this 7-year-old girl, her grandmother is like this superhero, and her grandmother's also kind of nutty and crazy. You know, she's standing on her balcony shooting paintballs at men who want to talk to her about Jesus. She's breaking into the zoo, throwing poop at police officers. So she's out there. And then one day the grandma passes away. She wants to send her granddaughter on this basically one last adventure. And she has all these letters that she wants delivered to people to tell them that she's sorry. Her and her granddaughter too, they used to, when her parents had got divorced, her mom and her live in the same apartment building as the grandma. So the grandma's like right next door. So she would sneak out at night and go over to her grandma's, and her grandma would like get in the wardrobe, and they would go to this land called Miamis and go on all these adventures and stuff. And the grandmother had all these stories and fairy tales. And like, so the girl, after the grandma passes, it's like how she deals with the grief, but also like she starts to meet all the people in the apartment building where she lives and all these people who had been like scary and this, that, and the other. She starts to get to know them and you learn about their backstories, and she delivers these letters, and it starts to kind of bring these people out of their shells and help them, and kind of starts to somewhat heal some of these people. And it's just such a beautiful story. I would highly recommend it. It's fantastic. Okay, after that one, we have The Women of Wild Hill by Kirsten Miller. This is a wondrous, witchy book. It follows the story of these two sisters, but it also has like the whole history of Wild Hill and what happened there, why it was first cursed, and then eventually a certain line of women came from there that had power and witchiness and wildness. And it's a fantastic story. I love the writing. It was such an addictive read, and I flew through the pages. I think I read it in like 2 days. So there's these two sisters, Bridget and Phoebe, and they had like a falling out back in the day. Their mom had died in a tragic way, and just a lot of like misunderstanding and missed signals and stuff. And so they're mad at each other. Obviously they still love each other, but there's this like anger between them, and the old one wants them to come back to Wild Hill because they have a destiny to fulfill. There's a whole thing of this prophecy of these three that will come from this family line, and that they will turn the tides against all the garbage crap that is happening because of the way mankind is going. It is emotional, it's fun, it's magical, and it's so many things I like in a book, and I love me some witchy reads, so loved it. Okay, so after that one, I read Salt Bones by Jennifer Given. And this is an author. This is the second book I've read by her. The other one was River Woman, River Demon. I have a standalone review for that, so I'll put that down there with all the other stuff below in the darkness. So Salt Bones follows the story of this woman, Mal. She has 2 daughters, Griselda and Amaranta. And when she was younger, her sister Elena went missing. And then there was also this other girl, Noemi, that went missing. They never heard from him again. And then she ended up meeting Noemi's father when she was younger. Everyone was like, oh, he's the devil, he probably did it, this, that, and the other. But she recognized a kindred soul because she had lost her sister, he had lost his daughter, and just she saw the sadness in him. Like, she's like, this is just people being a-holes and spreading rumors and this, that, and the other. So they like searched for years and years and years for any trace or remnant of his daughter, and then also her sister, never knowing what had happened, why they disappeared, were they kidnapped, were they murdered, what had happened. And so several years later, now that she has grown daughters herself, another girl goes missing. This girl Renata that actually she worked with at this butcher place where she basically runs the joint. There's a lot of similarities in like what happened when this girl goes missing, and then another girl goes missing, and so they start to look for the girls and try to solve this mystery to see if it's tied into what happened all those years ago and what happened, because like back then too, since these people have brown skin, people don't care as much about them. And so back in the day, they didn't have people looking for them and all this stuff. And the only reason now that the one girl is getting us all this attention, which was not Renata, no one seemed to really care, was because this girl is related to someone who's running for the Senate. So they have a lot of eyes on this, and they're trying to find out what happened, this, that, and the other. And so you unravel this whole mystery, and it's like, I'm gonna go into it's sad and depressing and upsetting and like so many things, and it's gritty and it's in your face, and the writing is phenomenal. Like, I thought it was so descriptive. The way the author writes is wonderfully vivid and salacious, and just excellent writing. It's very visual, and I loved that about it. And I also loved the lore that's tied into the story too, with this La Siguanaba, this horse-headed woman, and what she symbolizes, and what was her part in all of this too. Like, is she trying to lead people somewhere? Is she taking the girls? Like, is she a omen, or like a sign of stuff to come? Like, what does this symbolize? And it's a great read. I absolutely loved it. I like this one even more than that other one that I read, River Woman, River Demon. This one's like even better. So, and then out of all of those, I think my 2 favorites were Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, and then The Women of Wild Hill. Do you have a favorite or favorites that you've read this month? Let me know. Always curious. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.